Well, tell us a little bit about your traffic then. What kind of traffic do you get to the site, and how do you generate that traffic? How do you generate new respondents?
Well, each month we get around 350,000 people hitting the website, so it's a pretty large sample size. They range from teenagers to mums and pops and retirees. If we had any sort of skew, I'd say it's probably slightly more female and probably slightly younger, but it is a fairly broad demographic that surfs the website. We get our traffic from three main areas. The first one is viral marketing. You'll see throughout the website we heavily encourage people to tell other people about an offer if they think that person might be interested in it. And we make that as easy as possible for people to do that. So we get about a third of our new traffic from people telling other people about Shop Free. We notice that when we have very good offers, really good samples, that we know we can actually watch the traffic climb, because we know that's people telling other people about that offer. It's very easy these days to shoot an email off to someone, or just when you're filling out a form, put in a friend's email address. They'll have an email sent to them that said, hi, your friend Lara, said that here's a product that you might be interested in. Click here to find out what it is. The second way we get traffic is through site partners. So we have a range of other websites that we syndicate our free offers to. So you'll go to their website, there'll be a free offers button there. They may have a selection of all of our offers, or they may have a selection of just a subset of our offers. So let's say it was a female site like girlfriend.com.au. We might have 5 or 6 offers that we think are targeted at that demographic. So what we've got there is we've got a number of offers that are actually at that demographic. When the user clicks on the free offers button, they don't even think they're leaving the website. They're just still on the girlfriend website, and then they can then order that offer from there. Probably the third way that when it's becoming a very powerful way for us to get new traffic is search engine marketing. We spent a little bit of money on that about 12-18 months ago. We probably got that money back. We spent about $2,000 on search engine optimization. We probably got that money back within about 6 weeks, and that we do search engine marketing through optimization and also paid placement. We found paid placement was a very successful way to get people there. It takes a little while to learn how it works, and you probably do waste a little bit of money to start off with, but search engine marketing is no doubt a very powerful way that we use to get new people to the website.
But what are the major objections that you typically hear from advertisers these days?
To be honest, most of the objections we get actually aren't from the advertisers. They're often from the advertising agency. I still think there's an attitude, or there's a situation out there at the moment where most advertising agencies will make much more money if they recommend television to their clients than if they recommend online. Now that's gradually changing, and the reason it's mostly changing is because advertisers are actually demanding that online represents a larger segment of their spend. There was a credit card company recently that found out that through their television advertising it was costing them about $3,500 per credit card application. Online it was costing them about $45. So there's stories like this that are now sort of getting out there amongst advertisers, and the advertisers are now starting to demand it from the advertising agencies. Now, because the spend is generally so much lower for online than television, a lot of the advertising agencies are really having trouble trying to figure out a way to make money out of it. The spend is lower, so they don't make as much money, if you like, on the margin of the spend. And often with online, there's much less creative input. If you think about the creative input of, producing a banner ad or, some search engine placements, it really doesn't take very long to get those up and running compared with the production values of a full-blown TV commercial. So, we often, yes, there's a mix in advertising is required, but we still find that online is underrepresented from as far as the spend from advertising agencies.
We could probably talk endlessly about the changing nature of the advertising agency and perhaps their slowness to adopt to new means of advertising and communicating with the consumer, but that's not really what we're here for today. So I'll ask you another question then, which would be an objection to me as an advertiser is there's only 9 million people online. You're not reaching everybody that I want to reach. You're not reaching perhaps people in the lower income brackets who are purchasers of very specific FMCG products.
Yeah, you're not reaching everybody, but the people you're reaching are generally reasonably affluent, they're reasonably educated. But online now, there's such a large population that is online, but I think you are reaching a good segment of them. A lot of people have access through work as well now, and that has greatly increased the user base of online. And I'm not saying that online's the only way that you'll reach people, but I think you'll reach a large percentage of people through online. But you have that great advantage of getting more feedback and more response from the consumer as well, something that you don't get with television or mail drops or those sort of things.
Do you think the online consumer is perhaps the tribal soothsayer or the tribal knowledge base, if you will, amongst their tribe of friends? Do you think that they're imparting the information that they're learning through sampling about a product or a service?
Most definitely, especially the people that are into samples online that are happy to try things. They tend to be those sort of advocates, those sort of people that will sit around the barbecue, and if you say, I'm about to buy a new car, we'll say, what sort of car is it? Oh, no, don't buy this one, buy that one. They're sort of fairly clued up consumers. They're consumers that are used to doing product research online. Yeah, I mean, I think when online sort of first took off and the whole .com revolution happened, that everyone thought, it's all about buying goods online. We've learnt now that people aren't buying cars online, but gee, they're really doing their research about cars online. It's the same with buying houses. Purchased a house recently, and we actually the reason we bought it was we got an email from realestate.com.au telling us there was a house in the area that we're after, in the price bracket that we were after. So it has a major impact on sales now. And if you ask any real estate agent, where their leads are coming from, a lot of them will be saying that they're coming from online.
Do you think that there's some of the objections that you're overcoming with advertising agencies? They're putting an economic barrier up there. They're telling you maybe that it's more expensive to sample online than it is to spray in Martin Place, for instance?
We don't get those price objections too much. We've actually done some cost comparisons and figured out that actually to do a spray in Martin Place, it actually is quite expensive. You need to often pay the owner of the place to a fee to be there. You need a supervisor, you need to distribute the samples there, you need people with t-shirts on, you need public liability insurance for them. So that can be actually quite expensive as well. Stick-ons on front of magazines, that's often around about $1 per stick-on, so that's also quite an expensive way. And then you have that massive wastage, so you have to sort of factor in that wastage. We generally don't find that price is too much of a concern for advertisers. Compared to a lot of other forms of marketing, it's actually $1 a lead, which is what we charge, is actually a fairly cheap way to actually reach them. The main difference is that feedback and response that they are getting from them. So while it can seem sometimes cheap to do a massive big spray, there are a lot of hidden costs there as well that do add up to make it quite an expensive exercise. What we're finding though is that we would like to see more sampling done. There's still, I think, there's this attitude that no one got sacked for advertising on telly. I think there's still that sort of attitude there amongst advertisers. They're happy that if their bosses see their TV ad, that they'll be quite happy, and their flattered ego will mean that it was a successful campaign, but it might not be really driving the results that they're after. I think TV advertising is good, but I think you also have to connect to consumers in a much closer way. We know that things like the remote control now, that people can quite easily sort of flick off TV ads or mute them or just not respond to them. I'll often see an ad for something and go, that looks pretty good, but I won't be motivated enough to pick up the phone. I think what consumers are into more is now more closer interactions. One of the campaigns that we're running at the moment is for Johnny Walker, and they do a free tasting evening. It's run in 5 capital cities around Australia, and they register on Shop Free. They pick what date they can go, and they turn up to the tasting evening. Now, this tasting evening, it's a bit like a wine tasting, but it really does allow Johnny Walker to get a lot closer to consumers than just simple sponsorship or TV advertising. It educates people on the different tastes of Scotch, gives them some free vouchers and some merchandise as well. And I think that type of marketing, which has been extremely successful for them, they've had over 100,000 people attend these nights in the last 12 months, is I think more about the trend of marketing, which is now trying to get a lot closer to consumers.